everybody, and welcome to Blue Jays Today, where we always got something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog. And today, guys, we're going to be looking at three potential things that could really cause some major problems with the Blue Jays. Before we get into it, please make sure to like, subscribe, comment your thoughts down below. What are the big problems that you can see arising with this Blue Jays squad this season? First things first, major shout out to Jays Journal, who is kind of like percolated this video for us. We're even going to be referencing their article throughout it because they had just a great one here that like really encapsulates a lot of the stuff that could go wrong for these Jays. So shout out to Jays Journal, shout out to Andy Moore for writing this. First red flag that they talk about, and it is absolutely, I mean, it's not a red flag because you can't even really plan for it. It's nothing that you can necessarily do, but it could definitely be a problem with this team, is just straight up injuries.
Yeah, I agree, man. Like, look, you're adding on, and they talk about this, and we'll extrapolate on a little bit more. Like, we're adding some guys that are pretty injury prone in the last few years. Like, you're adding a Brandon Belt. Right, he had 3 knee surgeries in his career. That's a lot.
I mean, a lot of things going on with your knee.
That's a lot. His knee's pretty screwed up, right?
Yeah.
And like, yeah, he's been good in the past, but like, is he going to be good again? I don't know. He could be a regular day player for us.
Yeah, for sure.
Kevin Kiermaier is an everyday player. We're expecting to start center field every single day. He's coming off a surgery as well on his hip. Like, is he going to be ready, right? And if both of them go down, right, you got George Springer as well in the outfield. Like, if he goes down, we know how injury prone he is.
Yeah, he's definitely injury prone for sure.
Assuming that Varsho's the only one healthy, like, your outfield basically is Varsho, Whit Merrifield, and Cavan Biggio.
And obviously,
that's not good.
Obviously, that is 100% worst possible case scenario. But it should be noted that, you know, a lot of these guys, a lot of these older veterans on our squad have definitely dealt with it in the past. Also, knock on wood, we've never really had a big core injury. And by that, I mean, like, Guerrero has been relatively healthy the entire time. For 4 seasons
pretty
now.
Much healthy, yeah.
He's been relatively healthy the entire time. Bichette has been relatively healthy the entire time as well. You know, you look at our catching situation. Now that Gabriel Moreno isn't in the picture, if one of those catchers goes down, that's obviously going to be an area of concern.
Which Jansen and Kirk in the last 2 years have gone down with big injuries.
Exactly, right? So there's absolutely a route where things could get bad very, very quickly. And we see good teams, such as the Tampa Bay Rays, for instance, who were dealing with injuries all season long, how something like this would absolutely cripple you.
Yeah, and they have good coaching over there in Tampa Bay. And not to say our coaching isn't going to be as good.
Well, it isn't as good, though.
It isn't as good.
I will say.
Who knows? Don Mattingly, you never know.
Fair enough.
But I do think our depth is lacking where, you know, Tampa Bay Rays can pick up anybody in their farm system and make him into a major leaguer and make him play every day, make him win ball games.
Right.
Where like with us, like, who's going to be playing? Like, is going to be Biggio and Espinal up the middle? Like, you know, like, who's going to be playing first? Like Bell, I guess, but he could get injured, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's just so many wrong routes, and injury will kill us. So, like, hold your breath if you see Vladdy tripping on his way down to first.
Yeah.
You don't want to see any of that.
Exactly, and I think it just speaks to the conditioning of the players, right? It's like, again, like, you can't really plan for injuries. The best way to, like, prevent them from happening is just, like, be in the best shape possible, take care of your body, eat properly, right? Do not overexert yourself. I'm talking to you, George Springer. You know, like, literally, like, don't fucking do it. If you're going to be out, then be out, right? It's like, don't, like, sprint down to first base and cause something that's never going to be anything, right?
Yeah,
So,
and I wonder, sorry to interrupt about the George Springer thing, I wonder if the going to right field will help him, maybe.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, like, hopefully no more clashes in center field with
Bo
their
Bichette.
buddy at shortstop, but you never know, right?
Yeah.
Next thing that these guys reference, and for sure I could see this, and I think that this potential red flag here, for me anyways, it can also kind of stretch over to pitching as well. But that is a offensive drop-off, and you could argue the same thing about a pitching drop-off as well. But offensively speaking, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., gone.
Yeah.
Teo, Silver Slugger, right? He's gone. We saw some people on our team take steps back last year, such as George Springer, who's getting older, right? It's like, I wouldn't be surprised, I hope not, but I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if we've seen the best of George Springer, right?
Right.
I don't think it's going to happen, but could Guerrero continue to go backwards? I don't think so. I don't think so, but, you know, it's just like, just throwing it out there, right? It's like, we were seeing it last year we have to stop it right in its tracks.
Yeah, and I think the big attention here is the fact that Tio and Lourdes are gone.
For sure.
Like, absolutely. And you're replacing him with Varsho, who's good. You know, I literally compare him to Matt Chapman all the time, who's good. But, like, obviously, Teoscar Hernandez is next level in terms of his slugging, his batting average. And same with Lourdes. Not so much slugging last year, but the batting average was incredible, right? So you're not asking, and Kevin Kiermaier as well, like, you're not asking those new additions to be the guys. Same with Brandon Bell. Yeah. You're not asking them to be the guys. What you're really doing is you're asking Bo Bichette and Vladdy to be the guys.
Absolutely.
You need them to step forward to make up, to kind of get us back to where we were last year, which last year we weren't even like, we were good. Yeah. We weren't as good as we were the year before. So, yeah, I do think this year there is going to be a step back because the odds that, like, we're getting good George, good Vlad, and good Bo back, it's like, like good as in, like, elite all-star. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
If you think about the teams, right, that were, like, in the World Series right now, and the teams that typically go far, Yankees, Astros, Philadelphia, you know, there is a superstar on their team. There's an MVP caliber season happening on their team. Bryce Harper, Aaron Judge, Yordan Alvarez, right? It's like these are guys that brought them there. We are going to need that, right? Like somebody's going to need to step up, and we're going to need to kind of have a Guerrero, like MVP type 900 OPS caliber season. That is just on the offensive side of things. Pitching wise, like, we weren't necessarily, we've never been great pitching-wise, right? It's like, we've never been great pitching-wise. We've been incredible offensively. So pitching-wise, if we were to take a step back, Manoah, if Gausman was to get injured, God forbid, right? If Barrios continues to decline, that's going to be problematic. And that's not even talking about the relief pitching, which has always been an issue. Always been an issue. And it rears its head at the worst, ugliest times every single freaking year. I'm telling myself that this season is different because it has to be.
Dude, I was going to say, probably of all three of these things that Jay's Journal brings up here, this is probably the one I'm actually worried least about.
You know,
because you add Eric Swanson, right? You add, like, some depth in your bullpen. You got Zach Pop for another year. Like, everyone's going to get a little bit older. Like, I truthfully think that, like, it's going to get better. I mean, we were 6th in the AL last year, which doesn't sound that bad. I mean, obviously, it's like out of 15 teams, you're in the top. But, like, the guys ahead of us were all the good teams.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
and they were, you know, I mean, like, 6th is nice, but literally looking from an ERA standpoint, they were significantly better. Like, there was a tier difference for sure.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see. I do think that the Blue Jays pitching is gonna be a lot better, especially with, like, relief pitching.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. We can't be affording another sort of blow up like we did in the postseason because it can come down to that moment right there.
And I mean, this is one of those things where we're kind of relying on it. I think that everybody is sort of expecting that there is going to be a little bit of an offensive drop off from the Blue Jays. We're hoping it's not majorly off of a cliff. We're kind of hoping you go from a top 3 offense to a top 10 offense. But to be a top 10 offense and to make playoffs and to make a deep run, you also need to have a top 10 pitching rotation and a top 10 bullpen.
More, like, honestly.
Right? It's like you have to be really good in those categories. So by us trading away Teo and trading away Lord and going to more defensively minded players and doing that whole transition, which I like, it means that this other area has to step up. It can't just be the same. It actually needs to get a lot better.
Right. Okay, so with that being said, we talked about the injuries, talked about relief pitching, talked about the offense. What is it for you that you think is going to really be a huge red flag for the Blue Jays that could cost us the season?
I do believe it comes down to the pitching for me. I think that we've built this team, we've structured it around having good pitching. Like, going the defensive route, I think, is great, and, like, prioritizing that. But we have to have guys keep the baseball in the ballpark to field it. You know, it's like, if our guys are screwing up and, you know, like, Kikuchi keeps going down and Barrios doesn't bounce back, like, a Barrios bounce back would be major, right? And just, God forbid, if one of those top 3 pitchers, Bassett, Gausman, Manoah, if one of them goes down with a long-term injury, like, holy shit, this is big problems right now, right? So our pitching needs to stay healthy, and they need to be top tier. So I guess kind of like injuries plus pitching being elite. You know?
I mean, I absolutely agree with you on that. Like definitely with the injury, or sorry, with the relief pitching and starting pitching too.
Both are key.
Exactly, but for me, it's like the cloud, the big overarching like nemesis for the Blue Jays is going to be health. I mean, we've been relatively healthy, and that's what scares me the most. The last 2 seasons.
Relatively healthy, no playoff wins.
Exactly, exactly. So if we do start getting injuries, I don't know what this team is going to look like because we haven't seen it. So that's the scariest part, is that unknown.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen this squad before kind of get critiqued. We've done it, right, about not having that grit to push yourselves through those really tough times, right? We go down 2 runs in the first, and we turn off, and we don't play anymore, right? I mean, if Guerrero goes down with an injury in April, it's effectively like going down 2 runs at the beginning of the season. You know, it's like you're starting behind. Will our remaining players be able to rally and be able to make something out of nothing, right? I don't know.
I don't know, but we're gonna. I hope we don't have to see that. So
no,
I hope not.
God no.
But guys, let us know in the comments down below. What do you think about this? What are your big red flags for the Toronto Blue Jays coming into the 2023 season? Let us know.
Yes, also $3 a month become a Patreon member. Shout out and thank you to every single one of these current Patreon members. And also, if you guys want to be a YouTube member, same deal. Details in the description.
And guys, thank you so much for watching.
And go Jays go!